The Sex Pistols are synonymous with punk rock anarchy, loud, confrontational, and anti-everything, with Johnny Rotten's acidic sneer, Sid Vicious's nihilism, and Malcolm McLaren's media manipulation. They became icons of rebellion. But before the safety pins, the ripped shirts, and the chaos, there was Wally Nightingale, a quiet, guitar-playing teenager from West London who helped build the very foundation of what would become punk's most infamous band. Born on January 3rd, 1956, in London, Wally Nightingale was a working-class kid with a deep love for music. In the early 1970s, he started jamming with schoolmates Paul Cook drums, Glenn Matlock bass, while attending St. Martin's School in Shepherd's Bush. The trio bonded over glam rock and early rock and roll, playing covers and eventually writing their own material. Nightingale, who had a knack for catchy, gritty riffs, became the band's first guitarist and, in many ways, its initial driving force. In 1972, they named themselves The Strand, later changing the name to The Swankers. These were pre-punk years, and the group was still trying to find its sound, somewhere between the attitude of the New York Dolls and the stomp of British glam. But the one constant was Wally's guitar. His playing had a raw energy, simple but memorable, and it gave the band its first real identity. The pivotal moment came when Glenn Matlock, working at Malcolm McLaren's clothing shop Sex on Kings Road, introduced the band to McLaren. At the time, McLaren had just returned from a failed attempt to manage the New York Dolls, but he was eager to try again, this time with a group he could mold. He saw potential in the Swankers, but also a problem. Wally didn't fit his vision. Nightingale didn't look the part of a punk provocateur. He wasn't confrontational or styled in torn fashion. He was a rock and roller at heart, more about the music than the image. McLaren, obsessed with style and controversy, wanted a band that would shock, not just rock. In early 1975, Wally was unceremoniously pushed out of the group he helped create. His replacement? Steve Jones, who had been the band's singer, but quickly took over guitar duties after Wally's departure. With the arrival of Johnny Rotten, John Lydon soon after, the Sex Pistols as the world would come to know them were born. For Wally Nightingale, the break was devastating. He watched as the band he started exploded into international infamy without him. The riffs that powered early Pistols staples like Did You Know Wrong and Satellite were rooted in his playing, but he received little credit. Despite the bitterness, Wally tried to continue in music. He formed short-lived projects and played sessions, but nothing ever reached the level of his early work with Cook and Matlock. Wally's life after the Pistols was marked by struggles. He battled addiction and spent much of his later years in obscurity. Though his contributions were quietly acknowledged by former bandmates, the wider world mostly forgot him. When punk historians wrote the Sex Pistols story, Wally's name was often a footnote, an origin that didn't fit the mythology. He passed away in 1996 at the age of 40, largely unrecognized for the spark he provided. Yet, without Wally Nightingale, there might not have been a Sex Pistols at all. He started the band, recruited its members, and brought the guitar edge that would define early tracks. His legacy isn't loud, but it's lasting. In recent years, there's been renewed interest in giving Wally his due. Documentaries, books, and fan forums have begun to unearth the truth. That the story of punk's most iconic band began with a teenage guitarist, with a dream, a riff, and no idea of the storm that was coming. Wally Nightingale's tale is a reminder that not all revolutionaries make the headlines. Some are the ones who plug in the amp, play the first chord, and get left behind before the world ever hears the noise.